Hello everybody, welcome back. So I'm back in England, bit of a late start this morning, but I'm here. So let's start by addressing the dump that's taken place so far. We're massively down at this stage now, 1.89% in the last 24 hours. Oh my god. Down to the 50 exponential moving average, which is actually part of a golden cross in all fairness. Let's have a look at momentum. So we had the bearish divergence on the daily. We've lost that. No bull dip, obviously, on this way down. It's too early for those sort of things. Moving over to the 4 hourly, we've lost the horizontal, obviously, and the 200 exponential. Oh my god. Oh my god. So it's actually gone down lower now than was originally anticipated. So with that, all we can do is map out supports and look for divergences, really. For Bitcoin itself, it's not the end of the world. We have seen in 2021, at the very beginning, I suppose, we saw how Bitcoin consolidated while dominance chart came down. That was around these periods here. So big rally up for Bitcoin, nice big rally, basically a 300% rally to be honest with you, and then a period of consolidation, about 3 or 4 weeks, bang, 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 leading you into February 2021. Throughout that period, the dominance chart, obviously it spiked up like a beast, like a mega super beast. Bang, 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 and then December 2020, January 2021, all the way down. And obviously, your alt season was a significant one. So it might be the case. And again, we're being optimistic here, but we're going to look at some. We're going to look at some altcoin charts. It might be the case that this consolidation for Bitcoin gives you the opportunity to buy dips in altcoins, but that's a little hopium-ish, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Hidden drivers of bullish divergence here on the weekly Bitcoin dominance chart. So, and some regular bullish divergence now. This is what we were waiting for on the stream, really, to see if this kicked in, and it has kicked in now. A regular bullish divergence on the daily. So it might be that we see a big bounce here on the dominance chart to find a lower high to get continuation on the way down. Overall, though, when you're thinking about the weekly for the dominance chart, still very big toppy vibes. You know, having the having these top signals sort of generated versus these potential bottom signals generated, I'd still think that these are way stronger than these, and yeah, a bounce might happen, and then continuation down is most likely. Let's have a look at the total two, rejecting from the previous local high after a significant rally. So let's think about this. You got the V-shaped recovery, giving you a 100% increase in chart price action. And so now we're getting a rejection from that local high. Well, I suppose it was a wick all-time high. And if we think about what that was from the wick to where we're at right now, it's 9% on the way down. Okay, so it's not bad. Go up 100, come down 9. Still seems reasonable to expect that sort of thing, to be honest with you. But we're not really sitting at any kind of weekly support here. So let's move over to the daily. Anything going on here? Well, we're above the Bollinger Band center, your 20 and your 21, giving you a price of 1.51 trillion. And then over to the 4 hourly, we've got 1.47 trillion. Again, these are just supports. They're not set in stone. There's not immovable objects, are they really? Let's have a look at Ethereum. So losing the Bollinger Band on the 4 hourly, no big deal. No divergence on the way down at the moment, so that's fine. Giving you supports on the 4 hourly currently at around 3,873. Obviously, this is trending up significantly since Ethereum trend up significantly, which means that the price action might meet in the middle somewhere. If we think about the daily, we've got 4,050, we've got 4,115, so not too far away from where we're at right now to find some sort of significant support, really. That's another 5.5% at best on the daily to find that sort of support. And again, you've got to have a look at what actually has taken place for Ethereum. Thinking about it on the weekly, we rallied from the bottom of this trend line, this giant symmetrical triangle, to the top, and then broke out and then hit the previous high. So if you think about what that really looks like, and again, it's worth recognizing these sort of things. 240% move from the bottom to the top. It's fair that we see a pullback, and it's not uncommon for them to break out and then retest the breakout zone, which might mean that you see a retest of somewhere around 3,600. Again, I don't make the rules, just pointing these things out. It might be the case that that's what we see. It may be, it may not be. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see, won't we? There's a lot of things going on in the market at the moment, with all the PPI and the CPI and the whatever else. And then obviously with just general politics as a whole, and it's a minefield out there. But based on the charts, the dollar is still moving down. It's got hidden bearish divergence on the weekly. We've not quite hit the trend line itself, around 96.5. We've got death crosses across the board. We're getting rejections across the board. It might be the case we see a little bit of a bounce at the moment, but generally all time frames on the Dixie are bearish, so we should still be looking for a little bit further on the Dixie. Now, I'm not calling for a complete demise of the dollar. I've been calling for a downtrend of the dollar since we hit here. I've been calling it since we came up to this trend line as well. So really, it's getting to the point where the dollar will be looking to rise again, and shorts on other currencies are probably the more appropriate place to go. So I'm not one of those sort of extreme people that's calling for massive breakdown of the dollar. I'm more into the idea of the dollar bouncing and going into an extreme uptrend for what could be a year or more, but not quite yet. Not quite yet. If we lose this trend line, well, that would be an interesting scenario. That could give us another year's worth of bull market, and that's what, maybe we talk about extended cycle or whatever, or broken cycle based on dollar weakness. But until we see that, the model fits, and then everything still points to a September sort of peak, whether it be the absolute top or just a temporary peak. I don't know, but that's kind of what it starts to look like, really. So overall, it's down today, down on a Monday, no big deal. It depends how much further down it wants to go. Based on the horizontal, we've had to $112,000 mapped out for Bitcoin. Maybe that's where we're headed. There are stops along the way. We've got 113,700. Obviously, the daily gives us a few others as well, which is basically right now. But if we lose this area, 115, it's 112. That's where we go next, in my opinion. And that's only a 2.7% move. Come on, 2.7%, it's no big deal. It always seems extreme when you think about it in terms of price action when you look at Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's worth so much money now. Back in the olden days when Bitcoin was like 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 or whatever, you see like a move of $1,000. It's a whopping move for Bitcoin. But now, $1,000 move is less than 1%. So, it kind of feels and looks worse than it actually is. Structurally, this is all still intact for a continuation of an uptrend, but we are looking and waiting for some kind of bounce that we're not quite getting yet. Might be worth having a think about what the S&P is doing, or the US 500, which is basically flat at the moment. It did print a new all-time high on Friday, so if that wants to pull back on its own, it's perfectly entitled to do that. Not really showing any signs of weakness here on the daily. On the 4-hourly, there was one single drive, bearish divergence on the way up, marking off that high. But again, you're losing the Bollinger Band right now. We've got 6,421, and then down here we've got 6,300, 6,300-ish. So if it wants to come down a little further, it can. And when this comes down, it's likely to bring the rest of the market down just through association, because this is the big boy. So let it happen. It's not a big deal at the moment. We're not particularly concerned about the way it looks at the moment. But the main thing for me is that if Bitcoin does lose that 50 exponential, it's 112,000 before the next big bounce, if we get it at all. We should be getting it. It's a retest of this previous high, significant high. Maybe that's where we go for. So between here and here, we should be looking for the bounce, potentially a reversal. The only reason I'm a little skeptical of calling for a reversal right now is that there is an absence of bullish divergence on any time frame that really matters. Basically 0 time frames. Right, I'll leave it with you there. good luck out there. It's not the end of the world right now. It's far from it. Altcoins still significantly higher than they were. Well, if you're in the right ones, obviously. And Bitcoin is still over $100,000. So we can all enjoy that fact. Things don't go up forever. Things don't go down forever either. But they could be another bumpy week as we had last week. This one could prove to be another bumpy week. We've already started off with a bump. That's how we started last week, if you remember. We went up and then we went down, and then went up and then down. Now we've gone down. Maybe we go up, then down. This is just the way it's going to be. If you take a trip down Twitter at the moment, you'll have just loads of extremes. Extreme bull, extreme bear, and that's all we've got is extremes. We don't have any kind of middle ground. Recognizing that actually what we're seeing is a move from the top to a low, to a lower high, to a lower low, and really we're waiting to find a little bit of equilibrium within the chart amongst the extremes. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.